HaKadosh Boker or Masechet Nedarim Daf Amud Aleph 25a1. Says the Gemara, we just finished by saying, Elmaleh Ravashi comes in the answers to Ravina ki mishtaba. When a person is going to swear, even though he's swearing on his own accord, adaita didan mishtaba. He's swearing on our da'at. V'anan lo maskina nafshina shum shemeneh. And therefore we would never think that we're talking about a place which is called Oleh Mitzrayim. If you remember yesterday, the way that we finished off the daf is that somebody came and maybe it was a person that he saw a nest of ants, an ant's hole, right? An ants, right? And they had, that's why he saw like Oleh Mitzrayim. On a fire ant pile, millions come out. Right, exactly. So you got tons and tons coming out. And then he called that place Oleh Mitzrayim. So when he comes, which is the ones that came out of Egypt, because there were 600,000 came out of Egypt, or the millions, like if you take, actually, there's 600,000 just men, right? So therefore he says, maybe he called this area Oleh Mitzrayim. So the Gemara is going to say, it's not normal that a person will come and make a neder, right, or a shvuah, whatever it is, on something that he calls and not on what we call. I mean, there has to be something that he's doing it for us. You understand? Yeah. Very good. So says the Gemara, what a person will not make it, a person will not come and make a shivua, right, only on himself. Keshehen, Vatanya, we learned in the Braita, Keshehen mashbi'in oto, when the dayanim come and they make a person swear, omrim lo, they tell him, Hevei yodea yishano, shelo t'nai shem libechanu mashbi'in otcha. But we're not doing it on the t'nai that you have for yourself, right? That's not what we're doing, right? But rather what? He comes and he says, Ela al datenu, right? The al dat bet din. But rather it's on our dat and the dat of bet din that we're doing it. La pulkemai. So why are we saying that? Meaning right now we're the bedin. We're making somebody swear, make a vow. Why is it that we have to come and say, by the way, you should know, right? They have to actually tell it to him, right? It's not on what you think in your mind, but rather it's on what we do. La pulkemai. Are we not talking about that we're trying to stop? That the person comes and he says, right, that he's asking for pieces of wood or whatever it is, and then he comes and he says that they're money, they're zuzim, and therefore he comes and he starts swearing that the guy came and he paid him back money and really gave him pieces of wood. Meaning, imagine right now, I'm going to come and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to come and I'm going to say this, right, is wood, right? So this is wood. And I'm giving it to now Ronen. And what do I think? I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to call the wood money. So I come and I swear, I gave him money. What? I swear I gave him money. You give him a piece of wood. But you called the wood money. So therefore, the Bedin have to come and they have to tell you, by the way, you're swearing on our dat, not on what you think. So the fact that the Bedin have to say that on our mindset, so you see from here that people will come and they'll swear on their own dat. Yeah, that means they'll come and they'll swear according to what they call it. So what are you coming? Huh? So what are you coming and you're telling me that a person will not swear al dat that's small? Here you have it. The Bedina have to say it, because if not, it's going to be al dat that's small. So answers the Gemara, no. Why? This comes to exclude the story like the kaneh in the Bedin of Rava. What was the story? Listen to this story. Somebody owed his friend money. Yeah, he came in front of Rava. Elmaleh, right, lelove. So he tells the love, the borrower, zil prali, right, go pay me the debt. Elmaleh, he tells him, praticha, I paid you back. So Elmaleh Rava comes and he tells him, imken zil ishtabale de berte. Oh, you paid back only part of the amount. So swear that you pay back part of the amount. So he went and he took a hollow.
Famous story.
Yeah, cane. He took a hollow tube. What? A cane. Okay, a little cane, a hollow bamboo tube. Yeah. Right, a hollow tube. And he put the money inside of it. Yeah, right? Right? So what happened? He was walking with it, kilu. And then he came right into the Bedin. So now they come, they give him the Sefer Torah in order to swear. Elmaleh Malveh, he comes and he tells the Malveh, sorry, Nekot, thank you, Nekot Aikanya Bidach. please hold this in your hand. Right? So Ki'ilu, he's got the stick.
Hold the cane because he's grabbing
Hold the cane because I'm going to have to take the Sefer Torah. So you hold the cane. He gives him the cane. Nasav Sefer Torah. So he takes the Sefer Torah. So he comes and he swears that he paid him back everything that he had in his hands. Now, Ha'u Malveh Ragaz the Tavra Leukanya. So the guy got so upset. Now, what was going to be so smart? Because this guy could have been the biggest genius. He comes, he gives him the cane, he swears that what? That he paid him back, and then when he finishes, takes back the Sefer Torah, thank you very much for the cane, and he leaves. Right? He did everything properly. Right? He swore. This is fine, but Ki'ilu that what's the problem? Now, what happened? This guy, he was a true Moroccan. Yeah, so what did he do? He came and he broke the cane. He was so upset. And what happens? And all of a sudden, everything falls on the floor. So it was actually true, right? That he actually did do that. So because of that, what happens is that even though there's a rama'ut, there's a trickery here involved, there's deceit, right? The Betin came and they started warning on this. Why? Because the Betin said, look, these guys are tricksters. They'll come and Ki'ilu, yeah, they're going to. So what? I gave him money. What's the money? I'm calling his phone. I'm calling him money. You understand? So what happens? So a person has to understand. So therefore he comes and he says that it's not going to be al dat atzmo. So ask the Gemara, but still, are you still going to tell me that a person will not swear on his own dat? But we learned in the Braita. Moshe Rabbeinu also did the same thing. When he came and he wanted that Bnei Yisrael are going to swear by Arvot Moav, that they're going to strengthen themselves in the Torah mitzvot. Amar lahem, he told them, you guys should know that I'm not making you swear on your own dat. But now not only on mine, says in Pasuk. Yeah? Right, what does that mean? I'm not doing it just on your dat, but also on my dat, on everything. Exactly, which means why? No. Because I don't want it, right, that it's going to be, right, just on you guys. Okay? That's the Pashat of Pasuk. The Pashat of the Pasuk is that it's going on the future generations. Right. But the Gemara is saying no, that it's not going on future generations, it's going, that it's not only going on what you guys think, it's going on what I think and what God thinks. Yeah, right, that's what it is. Right, you're right. The Pashtut of the Pasuk, the simple explanation of the Pasuk is like what you just said. So says the Gemara, what did Moshe Rabbeinu really take to Israel? This is what he told them. Maybe you guys are going to do things which are neged the Torah, and you guys are going to say al datenu, right? That ki'ilu, we didn't go against the Shavua, right? Because we thought during the time of the Shavua, right, something else. That's why he says al dati. It's on my dat also. Why? What is that coming to exclude? Because maybe they're going to come and they're going to say that the name of the Avodat Kochavim is going to be Eloah, God. So therefore, they're going to swear they fulfilled everything that God told them. Who's God? Avodah Zarah. Because they called Avodah Zarah Eloah. So now they're going to come, they're going to swear, yeah, I did everything that God told me to do. But what's God? Avodah Zarah, because that's what they nicknamed. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu had to come and tell them, no, it's also on my dat. I don't call Avodah Zarah God. So therefore, when you're making the vow, don't start playing, games. You know, there's some people, they always come to play games. No, you see, you said this, I did it. You said, no. Gam al dati, also on my dat. You understand? That's why it's so important to know. So says the Gemara, Miklal, so you see from here the word that it's mashma, right? That a person will still make a vow even on dat and even on his own accord. So says the Gemara, no. Why? Avodat kochavim ikre Eloah. Because really, Bemet Avodat kochavim is called Eloah. Yeah, the Chtiv says in the Pasuk, Uvchol Elohim Mitzrayim, all the gods of Mitzrayim. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So says now, let's go. He comes and he says, really, Bemet Avodat kochavim is called God. But it says, all the gods of Mitzrayim. Okay, fine. But now so instead of swearing that they're not going to do against God or was basically by them fulfilling the avodah zarah, it is called God. So then why didn't he just make them swear that they have to be mekayim mitzvot? So it says mashma mitzvot melech. No, but when you say mitzvot, it's mitzvot of the king. Whoever said mitzvot have to be mitzvot of Hashem only. So tell them that they have to be mekayim all the mitzvot. Now all the mitzvot includes the mitzvot not only of the king but of Hashem. So he says mashma mitzvot tzitzit. Right? A person could come and say, you know what? I'm going to fulfill all the mitzvot on the Torah. What does he do? He puts on tzitzit.
I like that.
Yeah, why? It says, Damar mor, shkula mitzvot tzitzit, and kol mitzvot sheba Torah. Tzitzit is like kol Torah kula. Yeah? You want to show them?
We could just be sitting here.
100%. Velashvaya tonu mekaymin Torah. So he says, so what? They should fulfill the Torah. So he says, mashma Torah achat. It's mashma only one Torah. The Torah shebeichtav, the Torah shebal peh. Right? Velashvaya ton. So he says, so why don't you just say that it's going to be Mekayim the Torot? So he says, Mashma Torah Mincha, Torah Chata, Torah Hasham. We read it all the time. Zot Torah Chata, Zot Torah, the Korbanot. Velashma Yatod Mekayim to Mitzvot. He says, okay, so make them swear that they're going to fulfill Torah and Mitzvot. Right? So he says, no, Torot, Mashma Torah Mincha, Mitzvot, Mashma Mitzvot Melech. Basically, what we keep on trying to say is, why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu could have just done a certain vow, and that's it? And you still see that when a person wants to be deceitful, they can find everything in the book. And they can find every single answer. You understand? He says like this. He says, he comes and he says, so why don't you just say, right, that they should just swear that they have to be Mekayim the entire Torah. So he says, Torah kula mashma avodah kochavim. When it says Torah kula, it's mashma the Yisur of avodah zarah. Tanya amchamurav da'kavim shkola kofeh ba'Torah kilu modeh ba'Torah kula. If you're going to go against avodah zarah, it's like you're being mekayim the entire Torah. So you see from here that if he was going to say that he had to say al data makom and not to why? Because if not, then they would have just said they have to be mekayim the Torah and not just the Yisur of avodah zarah. So he says it's fine. So tell them that they have to make sure that they're not doing avodah zarah plus the entire Torah. Inami sheshmeot u'shloshes mitzvot. Or just say 630 mitzvot. So it says, Ela Moshe Rabbeinu minta deloti chanakat. Moshe Rabbeinu, he didn't want to go to such an arichut to find the lashon, which was mashma, different things. So he just went and he said, it's also dati, in data makom. Instead of coming and trying to say, you know what, because that's nowadays. Nowadays, right, what's the good job of a lawyer, right? They come and they'll try to find a loophole. You use this terminology, and according to this, it's not really exact. And then, so now, ki'ilu, that's it. You're gone. No. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have time for lawyers, right? So what happened? He comes and he said, instead of all this baba mice trying to find out exactly what is the good language of how to use a terminology that you're not going to be able to get out of it, he just says very simple. When you guys are swearing, you're not only swearing on yourselves, you're saying on my dot, on dat Hashem. You can't go against my dot and dat Hashem. You go against your own dot. You'll call this coffee and this tea. That you guys could do. And you'll do it very, very well. And you'll even believe it. And you'll swear on it and you'll do whatever you want to it. You can't do it against me. You can't change my dot. You can't change the dot of God. So that's why it's so important. Okay? אם לא ראיתי נחש כקורת בית הבד. He comes and he says, he says, kunam, a person comes and he makes a vow. If he didn't see a nachash, a snake, a serpent, which was as big as the presses, the press he used. What's the money? Yeah, this is the press of the Bet Abad. Okay, says the Gemara. He comes and he says like this. Velo. He says what? You can't find such a big snake, right? There was a snake during the time of Shavur Malka. Ramu leitleisar urvata detivna, that they threw 13 of aravot of milil full of it says over here of grain, ubalayaton, and he swallowed it, right? He swallowed it. So therefore, what, you can't find such a big snake? A snake is huge. What are you talking about? You could find big snakes. Samar Shmuel, and Shmuel says, no, we're talking about taruf, which means that he saw with a whole bunch of holes, right? Which means that he saw that he was full of holes. And that's why he comes and he says, no, there's something wrong here. Okay? So he comes and he says, Kulu nachashe, right? Mitraf tarfe. He says, what? All of them have holes. What are you talking about? So he says, Agabot taruf kamin. We're talking about that he saw it, right? That it was on his back. Because basically, it's only on his neck, not on his back. Militni taruf. So if you're going to tell me that it's a snake which was taruf, so say it. So he says, Minta gavor kamashmalan the korot betabad gabo taruf. So you see from here that the korot betabad on the top part it's going to be full of holes. The ma'inaf kamino. What's the difference whether it's full of holes or not? The mekach umemkar. So somebody comes and he tells him, if a person comes and he says, I'm selling you a mill, right? In. If it's got, right, that there's the holes on the top, it's a good sale. The law, and if not, law, it's not good. Right? Why? Because he says, I wanted it this way. Okay? I wanted it like this. This is called a betabad, and you didn't sell me a betabad. Mishnah, Kafhe Amud Bet 25b says the Mishnah, Nidre Shegagot, right? Any type of a Nidre Shegagot. Remember, there were 4 different types of Nedarim that the rabbis permitted, and that means that there is going to be that it's permitted on their own. You don't even have to do a Tarat Nedarim. It's nothing. So one of them is, he comes and he says, Nidre Shegagot. It's a mistake. What does that mean? Im achalti vim shatiti. Imagine a person comes and he says, I'm not allowed to benefit from this guy if I ate or I drank. Right? And he makes a neder.
If I drink.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, he remembers shachal v'shata. That means at the time, he completely forgot. And then afterwards, he's like, I did eat and drink. So he starts thinking to himself. So he comes and he says, it's not a neder. Why? Because his peh and live are not the same thing. So he's going to be permitted. Okay? Why? Because since he forgot about it at the time, so therefore it's not considered a neder. That's called nidresh gagot. Okay?
It wasn't the heart and the mind were not
at the same time, exactly, connected. Okay? Now, another one, he says, Shani ochel v'shani shote. That he comes and he says, if I'm going to eat and drink today, and he forgot, and he ate, and he drank, right? So again, it's not going to be a neder, because, again, he forgot. A third one, kunam ishti nenetli. He comes and he makes a neder against his wife, but she's not going to benefit. Yeah? So he says, sheganva et kisi, why? But she took my money. Or she hit me, or she hit my son. You know that, and then it was known that she didn't do that. Right? She didn't hit the son, or she didn't steal it.
I have to.
A fourth case. Imagine right now, he sees people that are eating figs. So he says, Hare alechem korban. Now, what happened? He thought that these guys were strangers. So he went and he said, this is going to be like a korban to me. There's nothing. And all of a sudden it was his father and his brother. So what happens? Now, if he would have known that it was his father and his brother, he wouldn't have said that, right? Now, there's other people with them that they were also eating. They become asur in the neder. So Bet Shammai says the father and the brother are mutarim, right? Why? Because he never wanted to come, right? And now 1 second, these tenim belong to him. You understand what happened?
Because otherwise he can't.
Exactly, he cannot prohibit somebody else's food. If Ronen comes and he brings now babka, yeah? Now, I cannot prohibit his babka onto you guys. You understand? I cannot prohibit that, right? But if it belongs to him, he could prohibit the babka. He comes and he sees, you guys are eating my babka. He comes and he says, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah? So he comes and he says, so therefore what happens? The brother and the father are permitted. But the other people are going to be prohibited. Betilel says, since part of the neder is not chal, none of the neder is chal.
We learned.
Elu ve'elu mutarim. That means everything is going to be permitted. Why? Because if he would have known that it's his father or brother, he would have never made the neder. So the fact that the neder is not chal on some of the people, so it's not going to be chal on everybody. Capish?
Fish.
Very good. Yeah? Okay, fine. There's the Gemara. Tana, we learned in a Braita. Keshem shenidre shegagot mutarim, kach shevuot shegagot mutarim. Which means just like a neder that was done accidentally.
What was the fourth one? No. What was the fourth one? Actually, she's
okay. Right? Just like nidre shegagot is going to be permitted, which means if a person made a neder b'shogeg, it's going to be permitted. So too a shevua b'shogeg is going to be permitted. Says the Gemara, hey, what's the case? Shavuot, what is the case of Shavuot Shegurot? Rav Kana Ravasi, just like Rav Kana Ravasi, these two were Talmidim of Rav. And sometimes they used to argue, what is the Kavanah of Rav? Many times it happens. The rabbi said this. No, what are you talking about? The rabbi said that. And they start arguing, what is the Shita of Rav? That's why many times we say in the Gemara, Tre Tanae, Aliba de, whatever it is, right? Two Tanaim according to this opinion. Why? Because many times they would come. I would understand that my rabbi said A, he would understand the rabbi said B, and then they would start arguing, and each one. Yeah, we saw that everywhere, right? All the places. Yeah, all the places. So says the Gemara, Hadena mar Shavuata de Hachi amar Rav. It's right. The Hadena. So each one made a Shavua. That this is what Rav says. This is what Rav says. I swear this is what he says. So he says, each one was actually swearing in a proper way. Because each one of them was actually swearing in a, they weren't lying. Okay? Yeah. So therefore that's called a Shavua that is permitted. Why? It was Shogeg. Because each one is doing it according to what Be'emet he believes. That was what Rav said. Okay? Next, we have the two dots. Right? So somebody comes and he sees that they're eating. They're eating his figs. We learned over there in the Mishnah later on. Do you know that when somebody wants to open up his neder, we always need a petach? Remember that. We need like an opening in order to, like, whether it's a remorse or something, to open it up. So he says, what does that mean? So he comes and he says, if you would have known during the time of the neder that you're not allowed to eat on Shabbat. So imagine right now, Richard comes and he wants to make a neder. He doesn't want to have meat, right? Why? Because you gain 5 pounds. So what happens? All of a sudden I come and I say, but would you have known that on Shabbat and Yom Tov now you're not going to eat meat? You're nulling. You're nulling what it is. Oneg Shabbat, you're nulling what it is. The entire concept. So he says, Barishona, that's an open. So Barishona Yomrim, Motana Yamim Mutarim, so at the beginning, right, when they matit the neder, they say, okay, fine. So those days, which is Shabbat and Yom Tov, it's going to be permitted. All the other days, it's going to be permitted. Until Rabbi Akiva came and he taught, neder shutar miksato, mutar kulo. When you already come and you annul part of the neder, the whole thing is annulled. Big episode. Exactly. So therefore, that means once you permitted already Shabbat and Yom Tov, you already permitted everything. So Amar Rabba comes and says, what? Rabba. According to everybody, if he would have said, if I would have known that my father is there with you guys, I would have said that everybody's asur other than my father. So in such a case, right, you're right, everybody's prohibited, but the father's mutar. So what is the machloket in between them? Right, but then you get into it's not neder shutar miksato, because then the father was never part of the neder. Right? But the machloket is going to be I would have said so and so and so and so is going to be prohibited, and my father's mutar, because now the neder, right, was a ta'ut gimura to do with the father, and to do with other people, right? It was also a ta'ut in the lashon. Because if he would have known, so then he would have just said kulechem. He would have actually explained who is ploni and ploni, not just kulechem. Rav Amar, but Rav comes and he says, according to everybody, anytime they would have said, that my fathers would do, I would have said, everybody's mutar. So when is a machlok between Shammai and Bet Hillel? Everybody's asur except for my father. So that Shammai holds like Rabbi Meir. You said two different things. What is the main thing? The first thing that you said, or the last thing that you said? That's actually a machlok between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Meir always says, "Fos lashon rishon." Take the first thing that you just said, right? And Rabbi Yosef says, "Take the last thing." So when he would have said the chutz me'abar, not the chutz me'abar, or kulchon, right, which is that's the end. So therefore, that's the machlok between them. What is the ikar? So according to that, that's why he comes and he says over here that it all depends, right, accordingly.